Hello, dear students. Welcome back in class 10th biology. Students, I hope that you all will be fine. Let's continue chapter 15, our environment. In part 1 of this chapter, you have learnt in detail about ecosystem. Today, in part 2 of this chapter, you will learn in detail about food chain and its types, 10% law, food web, difference between food chain and food web, and biological magnification. Let's start the topic food chain. Students, answer me one question. From where do we get energy to do various types of work? Yes, we get energy from the food that we eat. Food is the source of energy for all living organisms. And to get this food, all living organisms depend on plants and animals. That's how the energy flows in our ecosystem and our ecosystem function. Look at this picture. In this picture, you see herbivores like deer eat plants and carnivores like tiger eat herbivores like deer. All green plants are called producers or autotrophs as they obtain energy from the sun to produce food for themselves as well as for all other living beings, whether herbivores or carnivores. In this way, all consumers or heterotrophs are dependent on plants directly, like herbivores, or indirectly, like carnivores. This forms a feeding interaction between organisms of different populations in an ecosystem. It describes the sequence of energy that flows from one population to the next population. This is called food chain. Now let's see the definition of food chain. It is the sequence or series in which energy is transferred from one organism to another organism in the form of food. In other words, food chain is the chain which shows who eats whom in an ecosystem. Students, you can see in this food chain at each level or step, the energy is transferred from one organism to another organism in the form of food. These steps or levels are called trophic levels. Producers or green plants are always placed at first trophic level. Herbivores that depend on plants and form primary consumers are placed at second trophic level, and carnivores or the secondary consumers like tiger in this food chain are placed at third trophic level. So let's see what are trophic levels once again. Trophic levels are the steps or the levels in the food chain at which transfer of food energy takes place from one organism to another organism. You can see from this diagram that plants that are the primary producers are always placed at first trophic level. The herbivores that depend on plants are called primary consumers and are placed at second trophic level, whereas carnivores that feed on herbivores are called secondary consumers and they are placed at third trophic level in any food chain. The top carnivores may be tertiary consumers or quaternary consumers are placed at fourth or fifth trophic level in a food chain. So different trophic levels can also be represented by T1, T2, T3, T4, T5 according to length of the food chain. Let's see the types of food chains on the basis of trophic levels. Two-step food chain in which grass is eaten up by the herbivores like deer. Here the grass, which are called producers, are placed at first trophic level, and herbivores that depend on grass for their food and are called primary consumers, they are placed at second trophic level. So this is called two-step food chain on the basis of two trophic levels. Now see three-step food chain. In this food chain, you see that corn plant as producers represents the first trophic level. Rats as herbivores form the primary consumers, represent the second trophic level. Owl, which is a carnivore and form the secondary consumers, represent the third trophic level, and these trophic levels are represented as T1, T2 and T3. See four-step food chain. In this food chain, you can see carrots are the producers which form the first trophic level in this food chain. Rabbit that feeds on carrots as plants and form the primary consumers are placed at second trophic level. Fox which feed on primary consumer that are herbivores are placed at third trophic level and form the secondary consumers. Lion which in turn feeds on fox now is kept at fourth trophic level and forms the tertiary consumers. Now see five-step food chain. In this food chain, grass as producers represent first trophic level. Grasshopper that feeds on plants form primary consumers and represent second trophic level. Frog that feeds on grasshopper and form secondary consumers represent third trophic level. Python that feeds on frog and form tertiary consumers represent fourth trophic level. And eagle that feeds on python or snake form quaternary consumers. They are the top carnivores and represent the fifth trophic level in this food chain. So students, you have seen that the length of the food chain varies from 2 to 5 step food chain on the basis of number of trophic levels. Now see what type of questions can be asked on the basis of this topic. Students, you can be asked to give example of 2-step food chain or 3-step food chain or 4-step food chain or 5-step food chain, or you can be given any food chain and you have to identify the primary consumers or secondary consumers or tertiary consumers in the given food chain. Or you can be asked that which organisms form the first trophic level of the food chain or the second trophic level of the food chain or the third trophic level of the food chain, and so on. Students, let's see one question given as blueprint question on page number 260 of your science textbook. What are trophic levels? Give an example of food chain and state the different trophic levels in it. The various steps in food chain at which transfer of food energy takes place from one organism to another organism are called trophic levels. See one example of food chain operating in grassland. It is 4-step food chain: grass, insects, frogs, snakes. Grass as producers form the first trophic level. Insects, the herbivores, represent the second trophic level. Frogs, the primary carnivores, represent the third trophic level. Snakes, the secondary carnivores, represents the fourth trophic level. You can take any other example to answer this question. One more question is given in back exercise of your science textbook on page number 265. See what will happen if we kill all the organisms in one trophic level. Students, if we kill all the organisms in one trophic level, the transfer of food energy to the next trophic level will stop. This will cause a break in the food chain, resulting in ecosystem imbalance. As a result, the organisms of the higher trophic level will also die, while the individuals of the lower trophic level will exhibit enormous growth in their population. Both the conditions will result in ecological upset. Students, you can understand this answer by taking this example. For example, in this food chain, by spraying insecticides, the insects are killed. If all the insects are killed, the frogs won't get their food and they will die due to starvation. And if there are no frogs, snakes won't get their food and they will also die due to starvation. And grass at the producer level will also overgrow and compete for space, nutrients, sunlight, etc. and may die due to over competition among them. In this way, whole food chain gets disturbed. Let's see one more question, question number 5, given in back exercise. Will the impact of removing all the organisms in a trophic level be different for different trophic levels? And the second part of this question is, can the organisms of any trophic level be removed without causing any damage to the ecosystem? See the answer of first part. Yes, the impact of removing all the organisms in a trophic level will be different for different trophic levels. For example, if all the producers are killed, means if all the plants at the producer level in the first trophic level are killed, it will cause the death or the migration. Migration means movement of the animals, primary consumers that feed on producers like herbivores in the ecosystem to the other places, or the death of primary consumers as they won't get plants for their food. So in the absence of producers, the subsequent level of consumer will also be affected. If herbivores won't get food as plants are killed, then the herbivores may die. And if herbivores won't get food, then the carnivores that depend on herbivores will also not get food and they will also die. In this way, the whole food chain gets disturbed. See the another situation. If primary consumers are removed, means if herbivores are removed, then the organisms of higher trophic level will die due to starvation, whereas the organisms at the lower level, means at the producer level, at the first trophic level, they show exponential growth much beyond the carrying capacity of the environment. And we have already discussed that they may also die due to over competition or overgrowth. So removal of the organism in a trophic level will upset the whole ecosystem, as all the categories of organisms are linked through this food chain. The survival of organisms of one trophic level depends on the existence of the members of the other trophic level. And in this way, we can answer the second part of this question, that the organisms of any trophic level cannot be removed without causing any damage to the ecosystem. Because if organism of any trophic level are removed, it will disturb the whole food chain. So you have to learn this answer because it is very important from examination point of view. Now see the types of food chain on the basis of habitats. Previously we have done the types of food chain on the basis of number of trophic levels. Now the types of food chain on the basis of habitats. There are two types of food chain on the basis of habitats. One is terrestrial food chain that exists on land, and second is aquatic food chain that exists in water. Terrestrial food chain occur in terrestrial ecosystem. These may be grassland food chain, forest food chain, or desert food chain. Let's see the example of grassland food chain, which is shown as 5-step food chain in this picture. You can take the example of 3-step food chain or 4-step food chain also. Here the plants as primary producers are placed at first trophic level. These plants are visited by insects that suck the nectar from these plants. They are the primary consumer, they are herbivores in nature, and they are placed at second trophic level. These insects are in turn eaten up by carnivores like rat. These are the secondary consumer or the primary carnivores and placed at third trophic level. These rats are in turn eaten up by snake, which is kept at fourth trophic level and forms the secondary carnivore or tertiary consumer in this food chain. These snakes are in turn eaten up by the top carnivores, which form the tertiary carnivores or the quaternary consumers in this food chain and placed at fifth trophic level. So this 5-step food chain is an example of terrestrial food chain that exists in grasslands. Now see aquatic food chains that occur in ponds, pools, lakes, rivers, seas, oceans. An aquatic food chain starts with phytoplankton. Phyto means plants, plankton means microscopic. These are the microscopic organisms that float freely on water surface, for example algae. These are the microscopic plants, and these act as producers and kept at first trophic level in any aquatic food chain. These phytoplanktons are eaten up by zooplanktons. Zoo means animals, planktons mean microscopic. So these are microscopic animals found freely floating on the surface of water, for example protozoans. They are the primary consumers of the aquatic ecosystem. These are in turn eaten up by small fish, which form the secondary consumers or primary carnivore in the aquatic food chain. And these small fish are eaten up by the big fish, and big fish are eaten up by the fish eating birds, which act as top carnivores in the aquatic food chain. So this is an example of 5-step aquatic food chain. Now students, let us see what is the significance of these food chains. The study of food chains help in understanding the food relationships and interactions among the various organisms in an ecosystem. The food chains transfer energy and materials between various living components in an ecosystem or biosphere. The food chains give dynamicity to an ecosystem or biosphere, means it makes the ecosystem dynamic in nature. They also provide information about the movement of toxic substances like pesticides, weedicides, etc. through food chains and their biological magnification. Now let us study about flow of energy in an ecosystem. In an ecosystem, food chain represents a stepwise transfer of energy contained in the food. Green plants in a terrestrial ecosystem capture about 1% of energy of sunlight that falls on their leaves and transform this solar energy into food energy or chemical energy by the process of photosynthesis. So how much energy is captured by the plants from the sun? That is 1%. When plants are eaten by herbivores that are primary consumers, chemical energy in the plant food is transferred to these primary consumers. During this process, a great deal of energy is lost as heat into the environment according to second law of thermodynamics. Some amount of energy goes into digestion and doing various physical activities, performing different tasks. A part of energy is also utilized in growth and reproduction. Thus, on an average, 10% of the food eaten is turned into its own body and made available for the next level of consumers. Thus, 10% can be taken as the average value for the amount of organic matter that is present at each trophic level and reaches the next level of consumers. On the basis of this, 10% law was put forth by Lindemann. According to this law, only 10% of the energy entering a particular trophic level is available for the transfer to the next trophic level. Let us understand this 10% law with the help of this food chain. Suppose 1000 joules of solar energy falls on the leaves of green plants. Green plants capture about 1% of the solar energy. What is the 1% of 1000 joules of solar energy? That is 10 joules. So plants capture only 10 joules of solar energy and convert it into chemical or food energy by the process of photosynthesis. Remaining 990 joules of energy during this transfer is lost into the environment. So according to 10% law, only 10 joules of energy is available to these producer level, and 10% of 10 joules of this energy, that is 1 joule, is available to these herbivores, and 10% of 1 joule of energy is available to the third trophic level to these carnivores, that is tiger. What we conclude from this 10% law? That the amount of available energy goes on decreasing at each trophic level. So the food chain must consist of 3 or 4 steps or the trophic levels, or a maximum of 5 trophic levels. Because so much energy is lost at each trophic level and very little usable form of energy remains after 4 trophic levels. Now students, test your knowledge by answering these questions. How much solar energy falling on green plants is utilized by them? Yes, it is 1%. In following food chain, 2000 joules of energy is available to rats. Then how much energy will be available to snakes? Yes, according to 10% law, what is the 10% of 2000 joules of energy available to the rats at the second trophic level? Yes, if you calculate 2000 multiplied by 10 by 100, it comes out to be 200 joules. So 200 joules of energy is available to the snakes present at the next trophic level, that is at the third trophic level in this food chain. Now students, let us see one more important question. The flow of energy in a food chain is unidirectional. Comment upon the statement. Students, you have seen in all food chains, the energy that is captured by autotrophs or green plants does not revert back to solar energy. Solar energy is converted into food energy or chemical energy by the green plants by the process of photosynthesis, but that chemical energy is not converted back into solar energy. And the energy which passes to the herbivores from the producers or the green plants also does not come back to green plants or autotrophs. As it moves progressively through the various trophic levels, it is no longer available to the previous level. So we can say that flow of energy in a food chain is unidirectional. So when you answer this question, you have to make this energy flow diagram along with your answer. Students, when a graph for availability of food energy at different trophic levels is plotted, it gives a pyramidal appearance and known as pyramid of energy. You can be asked in the exams to draw pyramid of energy in an ecosystem. Then you have to draw this pyramid of energy in an ecosystem by keeping the producers at the first trophic level, primary consumer as herbivores in the second trophic level, secondary consumers or primary carnivores at the third trophic level, and top carnivores or tertiary consumers at the fourth trophic level. So you can see that as we move higher up in a food chain from producer to the top carnivores, the amount of energy available at the last trophic level goes on decreasing. So longer is the food chain, lesser will be the energy available at the last trophic level. You can see from here 10,000 joules of energy is available at the producer level, and according to 10% law only 1000 joules of energy is available to the herbivores, and 10% of 1000 joules of energy, that is 100 joules of energy, is available at the third trophic level to the secondary consumers, and 10% of 100 joules of energy, that is 10 joule of energy, is available to the tertiary consumers or top carnivores at the last trophic level, that is fourth trophic level. So as you move higher up in the trophic level, the amount of energy available goes on decreasing. So longer is the food chain, lesser will be the energy available to the organisms at the last trophic level, and vice versa. Now answer one question based on 10% law. Which food chain is advantageous in ecosystem? A food chain with 3 steps or more than 4 steps food chain, or it can be asked like this: give reason why a food chain cannot have more than 4 trophic levels. Let us see the answer. According to 10% law, longer is the food chain, lesser will be the energy available to the organisms of high trophic level. For example, 1000 joules of energy available to the plants at the producer level, and only 10% of 1000 joules of energy, that is 100 joules, will be available to the next trophic level, that is to the herbivores, that is goat, and 10% of 100 joules of energy, that is only 10 joules of energy, is available to the tiger at the next trophic level. So this is 3-step food chain, and see in the 4-step food chain how much energy is available to tiger at the last trophic level. 1000 joules of energy available to the plants at the producer level, 10% of 1000 joules, that is 100 joules of energy, is available to the goat, and 10% of 100 joules, that is 10 joules of energy, is available to fox at the third trophic level, and now tiger is present at the fourth trophic level. And see how much energy is available now to tiger in this food chain. Only 1 joule, that is 10% of 10 joule is 1 joule of energy is available to tiger in this 4-step food chain. So you can see that if the tiger is in 3rd step food chain, he will get comparatively more energy, and if it is kept at 4th trophic level in 4-step food chain, it will get only 1 joule of energy. So in the 3-step food chain, 10 joules of energy is available to tiger, and in 4th step food chain only 1 joule of energy is available to tiger. So this clearly shows that longer is the food chain, lesser is the energy available to the higher levels. Now students, let us see one more important topic, that is food web. The network of several interconnected food chains is called food web. Various food chains in an ecosystem do not operate in isolation, means they do not work alone. They operate in the form of network of food chains. One organism may obtain its food from different sources, and in turn they may be eaten up by different types of organism. It means A food web has several alternative pathways for the flow of energy. The food web also starts with producers and ends with top carnivores. Let us see in this figure, several food chains are operating in this food web, and a particular organism may occupy position in more than one food chain. For example, in this A food chain, plants are eaten by rabbit and rabbit is eaten by hawk. In B food chain, plants are eaten by rat and rat is eaten by hawk. In C food chain, plants are eaten by rat and rat is eaten by snake and snake is eaten by hawk. In D food chain, plants are eaten by bird and bird is eaten by hawk. In E food chain, you can see plants are eaten by grasshopper and grasshopper is eaten by bird and bird is eaten by hawk. In F food chain, plants are eaten by grasshopper, grasshopper is eaten by frog and frog is eaten by snake and snake is eaten by hawk. In G food chain, plants are eaten by grasshopper, grasshopper is eaten by bird, bird is eaten by snake and snake is eaten by hawk. In this way, a particular organism may occupy positions in more than one food chain. See, if in this food chain this frog does not get food from the food chain, suppose F, it does not get food from grasshopper. So there is an alternative way for this frog to get food. It can get food from this insect. And if this bird does not get food from this D food chain, this bird can get food from the insect. If this snake does not get food from this C food chain, it can get food from this G food chain. So in this way, in a food web, there are network of several interconnected food chains. Now see what is the difference between food chain and food web. Food chain, it is the sequence or series in which food energy is transferred from one organism to another. In other words, it is a chain which shows who eats whom in an ecosystem. What is food web? It is a network of food chains which are connected at various trophic levels. Second, it has maximum of 4 to 6 populations of different species. Whereas in food web, it consists of numerous populations of different species. In food chain, a disturbance in food chain is difficult to overcome, but a disturbance in food web is overcome after some time, as one organism can get the food from another food chain. Food chain does not help in restoring the population of endangered species, whereas food web helps in increasing the population of endangered species, as there are less chances of death of organism due to starvation. Now students, let us learn about another interesting aspect of food chain, that is biological magnification. It is how unknowingly some harmful chemicals enter our bodies through the food chain. One of the reasons is the use of several pesticides and other chemicals to protect our crops from diseases and pests. These chemicals are either washed down into the soil or into the water bodies. From the soil, these are absorbed by the plants along with water and minerals, and from water bodies, these are taken up by the aquatic plants. And when the animals like goat come to graze these type of plants, these chemicals enter in their body. This is one of the ways in which they enter the food chain. As these chemicals are non-biodegradable, these get accumulated progressively at each trophic level. As the human beings occupy the top level in any food chain, the maximum concentration of these harmful non-biodegradable chemicals get accumulated, means get deposit in their bodies. This phenomenon of progressive increase of non-biodegradable chemicals at each trophic level is known as biological magnification, means their amount is progressively increasing at each trophic level. In one case study, DDT in 0.02 parts per million is sprayed in water. Though DDT is banned because it is very harmful non-biodegradable chemical, the full form of DDT is dichloro-diphenyl trichloroethane. It was used as insecticide, and 0.02 parts per million, it is the unit in which these chemicals are measured. 0.02 parts per million of DDT was mixed in water bodies as an insecticide. The phytoplanktons and zooplanktons which consume this water were found to contain 5 parts per million concentration of DDT in their body. Fish feeding on such plankton had 240 parts per million DDT in their body tissue, and DDT concentration reached to 1600 parts per million in birds feeding on these fish or in human beings taking fish as their food. This shows that the amount of these toxic or poisonous non-biodegradable substances increase with the successive trophic levels. Man, being at the top in the food chain, accumulates maximum concentration of such toxic non-biodegradable substances in their body. The problem is that these substances cannot be removed from the food items like wheat, rice, vegetables, or fruits, and even meat by washing or by other means. So, we have to take organic food, or we should use these chemicals wisely or judiciously. Students, this is all for today's lecture. Thank you and have a nice day.